This is Good Morning Delhi with Chris.
Radio 1.
He's like the Lothario from the 70s. That's Rod Stewart with Hot Legs. It's 10 minutes past 9. And good morning to you. How are you doing? Welcome back. And this morning we're going to have a conversation with Anil Bansal and Ashwajit Singh. Ashwajit is the chairman and managing director of IPE Global. IPE Global has been founded by a few alumni from the London School of Economics in 1998. Today, the group has presence across 31 countries, and they have implemented 700 projects for multilateral, bilateral, international agencies, and for national, state, and local governments working in the process with over 500 government departments. And we're going to be focusing our conversation on waste management this morning. Good morning, Aswajit. Great to have you in the studio.
Good morning. Thank you for having us over.
So you come with a lot of input and a lot of insight on waste management. Is that correct?
That's right, yeah.
That's the conversation. What has IPE Global done? What do they do in this particular area?
See, IPE Global is a development sector consulting company. So we work in a number of development sector areas, which of course includes urban reforms, which solid waste management and water sanitation is part of that. We also work in health. There again, water and sanitation is a related component. We work in nutrition, we work in education, public finance, capacity building. So it's a whole range of development sector work that we do. And in solid waste management, we've done a number of initiatives, both in India and overseas, because as you mentioned, we're working in other countries as well.
Okay, I would just want to come in. What is the problem when it comes to solid waste management? What is the problem that's staring us in the face here in Delhi?
I think Delhi, like every other city in India, it has a number of issues regarding solid waste management, starting from, just the collection and transportation of solid waste. That's not sort of good enough. We've still, got heaps of solid waste lying all over, heaps of dump all over the place. We've got issues around sanitation as well. And I think, we still don't have adequate toilets. So there's a number of issues which is sort of faced with as far as Delhi is concerned. And I think it's also the mindset at the end of the day, because I think if we want to make a clean city, we have to start from a clean ward or a clean mohalla and a clean home as well. So I think there are a number of issues. I mean, initiatives have been taken, but there is a huge gap between the policy and implementation at the end of the day.
What is that thing that comes in the way? What is it?
I suppose lack of continuity to start with in terms of enforcing a policy. A lot of it also pertains to sort of lack of self-discipline as far as citizens are concerned. We don't have enough enforcement. Then a lot of initiatives that we take, we don't really necessarily take them to a logical end. We start off very well in policy. We'll come up with nice plans. And when it comes to the actual ground level implementation, that's where sort of the hurdle comes in.
Lacking the will. And you know what they say, they taught us this way back in school, where there's a will, there's a way. And if we want a clean country, we're going to have to will a clean country.
Absolutely.
All right. Okay, we're going to come back and talk some more with Ashwajit Singh. We've got tons to actually understand from him on how to deal with our solid waste. We've got tons of it lying around. Come on, people. Civilization's been around for such a long time. The city's been around for such a long time. Garbage is not something we need to be looking at today. All right. We're going to come back, talk some more about it. We will get more music going on for you. I've got Mark Ronson and Bruno Mars with a brand new song called Uptown Funk. We're talking about Uptown Junk here.
Your station is awesome.
Like what we do?
94.3
Visit the Radio 1 Delhi Facebook page to be a part of it.
Radio 1.
This is Good Morning Delhi with Chris.
Radio 1.
Gotta like that one. Mark Ronson and Bruno Mars with Uptown Funk. What we're talking about is Uptown Downtown Junk right here on Good Morning Delhi. We're talking about solid waste management in this city. Tons of it that are generated, and we're not disposing it of properly. As a result of it, we're dealing with mountains and mountains of junk. All right? But as much as, and I have two individuals here in the studio with me this morning. I've got Anil Bansal. We're going to get to him in a bit to talk about about waste management. He's from IPE Global, and Ashwajit Singh, who's the chairman and managing director of IPE Global, talking to me this morning. We were talking about how India has some of the best policies when it comes to all of these things in the world. That's
absolutely,
what you said.
Absolutely.
So we're not lacking. on ideas. We're not lacking on policy. What we are lacking
We've
on
also
is...
got a very strong Supreme Court judgment enforcing solid waste. So we've also got the legal framework in place.
Then what's the problem? We spoke about will.
Yeah, it is the will, and I think the continuity and implementation of these policies, I think a lot needs to be done
So
there.
it's like that marathon runner who's doing really well until he comes to the last lap, and that's when he gives up. It's something like that.
I would say, I mean, it's not just the last lap; it's a number of laps. It's the marathon runner who's run off very well.
Started off really
He's got
well.
the right intent, and somewhere down the line, he has a lot of obstacle challenges, etc.
And
he
he's
needs,
like,
he needs
forget
support.
it.
Yeah,
This is just too
absolutely.
much work. I'm going to go home
And
go home
again,
and
it's not a marathon here. Really, it's more of a team play, because you've got a number of levels that need to be involved if you really want to look at effective solid waste management.
Okay, so a lot of us say that, we're tired of the government, we're tired of this, we're tired of that. What can I do? What can the person listening to us right now who's living in Delhi, using this fantastic cities, I mean, let's not stop carping on and on about what's not happening, what happens, and it's all about you and me, all right? So what can I do?
I think the citizens, you and me, play perhaps the most important role in solid waste management. I think to start with, we have to change our mindset about, we have to take pride in our house, in our ward or mohalla.
But I
in our
do.
city.
I keep my house spick and
No,
span.
you may keep it spick and span, but I think it starts at the point of collection of solid waste itself. So I think we need to start with segregate the solid waste. Keep
Okay.
the wet solid waste separate from, the dry one, the recyclable one, the reusable one.
But I'm going to say this also. But uske baad what happens, and I don't know. It might get mixed up there.
I'm coming to that. So I think it needs to change at every level. First of all, we need to keep our solid waste segregated. We need to keep our homes clean, which we do. We keep our homes clean, maybe not segregate the solid waste. So I think it has to start from our household itself.
Mm-hmm.
The next thing is we need to get in our RWs involved. We need to get in our mohalla committees involved,
Mm-hmm.
who need to then work out an arrangement of collecting the solid waste in a separate, a segregated manner.
Okay.
Because that's when, whether it's the private sector which will come into segregation and collection of solid waste, or it's the government which will come in with its machinery, that's the starting point.
Okay.
After the RWAs and the mohalla committees, etc., have really worked out a mechanism of, some of it could be composted there itself within the
if your
colony
building
itself.
has beautiful gardens, why use any
Absolutely. So
artificial
you don't need
fertilizer?
to- you-
Natural fertilizer.
Absolutely. So you don't need to spend a lot of money to transport it. A lot of that could be composted at the local, level itself. After that, after the segregation, you get in whether the private sector, the government, to try and collect it, but collect it again in a segregated manner.
Mm-hmm.
And the recyclable solid waste, you need to put in systems in place where you are able to generate some kind of, I would say, wealth. I'm not talking about billions, of course, but at least it would cover your cost of collection. It would cover your cost of maintenance. It would also take a lot of load off the government, because today the government is spending a lot of money on
200 rupees from what
yeah,
I'm told,
absolutely,
per
person,
individual, per family.
per family, per individual, and I think if that could be saved, then a lot of that money could be used for more effective, meaningful things for the citizens.
You heard that? Did you hear that? I'm sure you heard that. You can go home right now, get 2 bins, and start segregating your wet and your dry garbage. You can do that from today.
And we need to change our mindset. We have to take pride not only in our home, but our own colony, our own city. We have to be responsible citizens outside our home as well.
You're part of the bigger whole, and this is how you can help. This is how you can pitch in and feel more a part of the whole thing. All right, we're going to come back, talk some more with Ashwajit Singh and Anil Bansal. I got to bring him in from IPE Global. Stick around.
I love your station. Like what we do?
94.3
Visit the Radio 1 Delhi Facebook page to be a part of it.
Radio 1.
This is Good Morning Delhi with Chris.
Radio 1.
Culture Club with Karma Chameleon. Of course, I don't know what that song totally means, but I do know. We know what karma means right here in India. And as you sow, so shall you reap. As you dump, so shall you that's the kind of city you'll end up with. A dump waste, one that's, that you're ashamed of, that you're not proud of. And then you'll have to have big campaigns like Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. But it's all just great with, all that marketing glitz. But what needs to be done is, I think it has to trickle to the lowest level. And that's why we're talking about solid waste management with Ashwajit Singh and with Anil Bansal. They're from IPE Global, and they're a development firm, and they've been grappling with all these issues and been talking to various different stakeholders on these issues. We're focusing our conversation on solid waste management. Sanitation, of course, are topics for another day. I want to understand from you, what are the things that, the person who's listening to us right now, our listener right now, we spoke about how he can go home, she can go home right now today, get 2 dustbins and start segregating dry and wet garbage. Talk to the person who collects your garbage and start similarly, slowly, it can happen from house to house where you start segregating garbage. What else?
I think we need to also create as much awareness about the need for cleanliness and solid waste management. And I think it needs to start at the school level itself. It should really be part of the curriculum.
Right.
Not just theoretical, but maybe children need to be actually taken and shown the advantages and disadvantages of doing
functioning knowledge.
Absolutely.
Functional knowledge.
And I think as part of our corporate social responsibility, corporates should come forward.
Since CSR is going to be such a big thing from the year
mandatory,
coming
and
year.
a lot of people are looking at avenues to actually engage in CSR.
Yeah.
And there again, I think they need to come up with joint initiatives with low-income areas within Delhi and other places. Try to take pride in engaging, because at the end of the day, whatever we may say, we want a clean environment. That is the starting point. That's the present we want to be in. That's the future we want to build in.
And it's not just about aesthetics.
It's about much
about
more
health,
than that.
Public
It's about
health.
It's
How
about
many children are we losing to waterborne issues
about
every year?
About 1.5 million every year we're losing to just waterborne. I mean, there are a lot of other issues around nutrition, etc., but just waterborne diseases, 1.5 million a year.
And waterborne,
that could be diarrhea, that could be intestinal things.
Those
all
contaminants
related to
are
water.
coming from.
So I think we need to work with schools. We need to work with media, with television, radio channels, etc. We need to work with our own RWAs as well, and of course I think it's about time that the corporates came forward and did joint initiatives with them.
I think my building, I just want to bring this in, and maybe this might be an idea for someone listening. They can probably do something similar in their own neighborhoods. My building actually had a cleanliness drive. They took the kids around and showed them different kinds of garbage, what happens to that, so kids also get an idea. They feel invested in their town, in their neighborhood.
Yes, and seeing is believing. You have to get them involved.
Yeah.
I mean,
not
teaching
a
them,
show.
teaching them in slideshows or in books and saying you need a clean city.
Yeah.
They probably
they
come from
will not
environment.
forget those lessons. Anil Bansal is also here from IPE Global. Anil, you spoke about a study that was done across various different stratas of society. And what did you all find? Please do come closer to the microphone.
Yeah, hello. It was not actually a study. Actually, this was a walk we did, and it was a long back. And actually, that clears our myth that you get good participation only from the high-income areas. We actually worked in a high-income and one middle-income and one in low-income areas, and we got the maximum participation, maximum encouragement, and maximum cooperation from the low-income areas, as far as solid waste management is concerned, because they are the most affected. You need to communicate only to them that it has a direct health impact
on their
and
lives.
The solid waste management has a direct consequences, and that they understand, and then they definitely cooperate.
Corporates listening right now, if there's anyone listening to the show this morning, if you're looking at areas in which you want to get into CSR, maybe this is one you can look at very seriously. IPE Global, I've got Ashwajit Singh and Anil Bansal with me. We've got last bits of our conversation happening in a bit. Stick around.
I like it because it's got a variety.
Very good variety of different types of music.
Like what we do?
94.3
This is Good Morning Delhi with Chris.
Radio 1.
The Lumineers with Ho Hey, and I say hey, 9:56. Are you listening? Because we're talking about solid waste management in this city of ours. It can be our beloved city if we consider it as such. And I've got Ashwajit Singh and Anil Bansal from IPE Global, and they're trying to enrich lives everywhere with their ideas and their plans and their research and their study. And we're talking about solid waste management. What would you like to end with, Ashwajit? We've spoken about quite a few things, and we've spoken about how, yes, government does come up. We've got great policies in this country. What is lacking is will. We don't need to wait necessarily for the authorities to swing into action. We, on our own, can do a great deal, by ourselves. What would you like to end with?
I'd probably say that I think it is time for us to realize the importance of solid waste management and act now. Each citizen should be acting now towards making it a clean city and a clean country. while the government is putting in policy in place and implementation as well, but we don't need to wait for that. We need to act now. It could start with segregation of solid waste, could start with awareness and also acting ourselves.
Anil, what would you like to end with?
Basically we need to emphasize and learn that door-to-door collection is the key.
Door-to-door
waste
collection.
should be collected from your household.
Segregated waste.
Segregated waste as much as possible. But door-to-door collection is the key. And then hold on to your waste when you are at a public place, because that is also important. Until unless you handle that public places has to be clean, and the street sweeping efforts has to be minimized, so that the entire manpower and machinery can actually focus on other things.
Because in my house also, when my domestic help cleans up, she tends to sweep everything into the drain. And as a result of that, it gets clogged. So, you made a point earlier about how street sweeping also leads to a lot of clogging, because they tend to put all that waste into like drainage.
Right.
A lot of them don't pick it up, So if we were litter less, that means there'd be less things to sweep up.
Yeah, ultimately, in fact, there should not be any waste on the streets. Why should be there any waste on the street?
Yeah.
Waste should be collected from the household and it should be collected from the public places. You should have enough litter bins so that there's no need for the street sweeping.
Right.
I'd probably want to end with it's our Bharat first, and then it will become Swachh Bharat. We have to first own up our responsibility to making it a Swachh Bharat.
All right. Thanks a lot, Ashwajit and Anil. Is there a place where folks can go and check out what your efforts have, what you're up to?
Sure, they could call us up. We've got our head office here in Delhi, or
Facebook. Do you have Facebook?
We're on Facebook as well, or our website IPEGlobal.com, and they can contact us, and we'll be happy to.
Okay, simple enough. IPEGlobal.com. That's where you can reach out to Ashwajit and Anil of IPE Global. Don't forget what we discussed. It's totally up to you how this city swings, how this country swings. We're going to come back with more great music. Thank you so much, Ashwajit and Anil, for coming over.
Thank you for having us over.
Bobby Brown coming up on the other side with Every Little Step I Take Now. How appropriate is that?
Your station is awesome.
Like what we do?
94.3.
Visit the Radio 1 Delhi